right, everybody, good morning. Welcome to this week's edition of Kingly Conversations. And again, man, we just want to really appreciate everybody for listening in every single week, or even if you don't listen in every single week, we just want to say that we appreciate you tuning in as well, just being part of the number, as it were, that listen to the podcast every week. And again, don't forget that you can catch us everywhere that you can listen to podcasts. So that's going to be literally everywhere at this point: Pandora, Google Podcasts, Apple Music, everywhere you can really catch us. So, what do we got on deck today, gentlemen?
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Alan. You know I'm Alan. I'm that dude.
He's the mastermind. Mr. Healy. We were talking about that too before we get started. Orion was talking about how you do go hard. So you do go hard. So don't think.
Tame.
No.
I am tame compared to my spouse.
There's a song that says, "I'm black, y'all. I'm black. I'm blick, and I'm black, y'all." That's Alan. He go hard all day. All right.
My thing is, I just believe in being truthful. And people want to be out here being liars, straight liars.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, I'll be your boy, your friend, your mentor, Calvin Hill.
Yo, what up? It's Twine, also known as Twine.
Hey, today we're talking about code switching.
Code switching.
I think everybody knows what that is. But
No.
for the people that don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is. What is it?
What is
Some people call it fake or fronting.
Yeah.
I call it you getting along with the people around you. Everybody's not the same, so you can't talk to everybody the same way. It's okay, for lack of a better term or a better expression. When you're talking to people of a different culture,
Yeah.
you don't talk to them. It's like you don't talk to Marines the same way you talk to civilians. That simple enough? That simplified? Oversimplified?
I mean, okay.
I understand what
It's
you're trying.
the-
I understand the concept.
I know what
you're
code
saying.
switching is.
Yeah. That no.
The problem is I'm also 40.
So you don't do
my,
it.
thing, my thing is, if you're not going to change for my culture,
Oh boy.
I'm not changing for your culture.
Well, tell you what, buddy.
I don't code switch.
Okay, and
I can't say that when I was in call centers, I didn't. I mean, it was.
That was back when I was young. I mean, granted, I can't say that I have not always been a code switcher.
Mm-hmm.
However, in my latter years that I've been expressing myself freely, I don't have a filter. I can tell you one thing.
Okay.
My mother, she was like, "Yo, I bet you don't talk to," I'll paraphrase, "your boss like that." and I was like, "You's a lie." The way I'm talking to you is the way I'm talking outside.
Hey, see, but I'm be real with you. I don't do that. I don't talk the same way I talk to everybody because I don't feel like one. I don't feel like they're on the same page or the same level. Being honest, everybody is not in the same ballpark or get you in your state or who you are today. Nobody understands Alan when he goes out into the rest of the world. They think they do. They don't. Saying I know they don't.
I will say there are restraints, but I don't switch what I like. I might not say something
Right.
in order to save somebody's feelings sometimes.
I call it the customer service voice.
Oh my God.
Oh no, you don't get that.
No.
Y'all don't do that?
No. But here's the thing. I think that part of it though is at this point, right? And everybody's not. And the problem is you shouldn't have to not be yourself at all. That's my. You shouldn't have to not be yourself.
Okay.
I just don't think sometimes people feel like they're in a position that allows them to be their true selves, and that to me that's part of the problem. That is why code switching is this, because you'll talk one way in the home around people that you're comfortable with,
Right.
but then you'll talk a completely different way. And to me, talk how you talk. I mean, because we don't ask other people to change the way they talk when they come into certain spaces. So why should we feel obligated to change the way we talk?
I'll tell you why.
Oh, go ahead.
I have again, back to the conversation with my mother, she would always coach me in how I'm supposed to talk around people, in which made me have a code switch at the time. But when I realized that, I was like, no, thank you. I'm good. Because for one thing, it becomes, like you said, very uncomfortable to do such. For me personally, when I was doing it, and I'm admitting that, like I said before, I was, I did have a certain persona around, but top of the morning.
Top of the morning.
Cheerio.
Okay.
So I got a question for you.
All right.
How do you deal with it? Because from my understanding, you code switch. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying I don't talk the same way when I'm at work, at home, in the community. I don't.
Okay.
I don't use the same expressions.
Yeah.
Like you said, I might not say anything. I will stop talking.
Yeah. That's my thing.
Yeah, I'll stop talking.
Yeah.
But to say I can say the exact same thing when I'm home, on the podcast, in the community, no. 100%, because, and especially like taking care of some business or being in some rooms or some spaces with certain people, I don't.
So
because to me, I can't. Okay, like if I'm playing ball, I can't bring that ball, Calvin. I'm in the street, Calvin, to the business room. I can't do that because to me that's going to cause a problem.
For who?
For the people I'm trying to do business with, that's not smart to me. Because when I'm working on an aircraft, if I'm turning wrenches, and I bust my knuckle or something, you hear everything in the world from everybody. Not saying I'm cussing and you doing that. No, but I'm a little upset. I'm a little hot. I wouldn't bring that same attitude to the workspace. That's what I'm saying. You say no.
I guess everybody's different because even when I'm up in front of a room doing a presentation, you get the same me every single time.
Okay.
And if you don't get the joke I'm trying to tell, but all the people in the community get the joke, that's on you. That's how I feel about it. Because my thing is, I 37. Okay. I just decided this is me. And if you don't like that, if my life is not what I would like it to be, but I'm happy with who I am, then I can deal with that.
Okay. Now I'm not talking about who you are as a person.
But who I am is all of that. So so that's what I'm saying. Like I would have the same conversations that you hear us having. If it came up, I'm gonna have the exact same conversation with them. So I will say, well, the 13th Amendment did this. Well, this did this. Because my thing is, I am going to educate you into what you should be doing. Right? Because everybody has preconceived notions of what history is and what they think is true. And I'm like, let me introduce new information in for you.
Okay.
Let me give you the real. And I would say just like, let me give you the real. And then we can have a conversation. It happens all the time. Fortunately though, I do work in a space where I can do that. And being who I am anyway, I always have talked in a way that is, I don't want to call it easily digestible, but it offers the education without the offense. Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. So, but that's always been who I was. It's not like I'm code switching to do that. That is just who I am.
Okay.
But it could be as a result of how
common courtesies.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't use that. A lot of people don't use that, especially in politics. A lot of people don't use that, and I'll get there in a second. But that same Marine Corps Alan Fonzo that you were, that joker don't come out.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Oh,
yes,
boy,
y'all some. Yes, he did. I don't know if y'all remember.
I get in a lot of trouble because of that.
Y'all remember?
Oh man,
I don't know if y'all were there at the time, but we were cleaning. It was the second time we were there. Dude was we were cleaning up one of the little temporary shelters that we were staying in after we got there, and one of the dudes was so happy about throwing his Bible away, and we almost came to blows in the little thing. Because I was like, first of all, like, I don't have a problem with you throwing the book away. My problem is how your excitement about throwing the book away. I didn't care what anybody else thought. Because my thing was this: you can't fire me.
Okay, all right, okay. Now let's.
But here's the reason you cannot, because I know what I know.
Okay.
I know what the rules and regulations are. So as long as I'm not violating any rules and regulations inside of that circle,
Right.
I can do what I want.
Right.
But you have to know the rules and regulations.
Yeah, but I haven't seen people, because of your political views, not in the contract world, rehire you or give you another job. I've seen it. I've seen it, and
that's why everybody should make their own space.
Break it down.
Yeah.
You want
All
to?
right, I can get right into it. I was working for a guy named Chuck, and he was a Republican.
My name is Chuck.
And he was like that.
Drive a truck.
He was like that. And I'm telling you, no, he dead on.
I'm sure.
And I'm telling you, even though I don't claim to be a Republican or a Democrat, I really don't claim one thing.
As you should. As you should not.
So,
Really.
but he assumed that I was a Democrat.
Yeah.
Can you guess why he assumed that I was a Democrat?
Because your name was Calvin.
Oh, okay. So I let him know in a certain way, okay, I don't agree with this, with Trump and all this other stuff he's talking about. I don't agree with it. I think it's wrong. I think it was very racist, very ignorant. Guess what this dude decided to do?
What do you do?
He don't rehire me for the next job. It's like that. It's like that out here.
So there
So
was
if you
no other possible, like you've eliminated anything else that he could have
I
used against you?
eliminated all.
Okay.
Because-
I just want to make it
And
clear for the
also,
listeners.
unfortunately,
We
we
live in a
right
world
to
like
work
that.
state. Well, we live in a world like we also live in a right to work state. So it's
That is
very
true.
difficult unless you can prove discrimination, and that's hard to prove.
Yeah, and right.
That's why I
So-
tell people to record our conversations with people.
Now
It's
y'all
it's
know.
a thing. Hey, just so y'all know, just in case you're listening in Virginia specifically, Virginia is a single party consent state, which means you can record whoever you want for whatever reason you want, as long as one of the two parties that's being recorded has consented, or one of the many parties has consented to being recorded. And I always consent to being recorded by myself. My thing is, hey, we live in a world where you gotta have receipts, my guy. You gotta have receipts in
Give
this
that
world.
button.
It's unfortunate that you gotta have receipts, but I mean that's the world we live in. You gotta have receipts.
Okay.
Because people will try to throw you under the bus or not hire you for various
Yeah.
reasons. And if you don't have at least one leg to stand on in your claim, then it makes it tough.
So the guy named Chuck,
Who drives
Yeah.
the truck?
who drives
He
truck,
drives a truck. Yeah.
and let's move on. So PG, I have no filter. So you saying that you believe that was the reason why he did not rehire you or put you into the next contract?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, my question to you then would be, would you have preferred to not speak your mind and regret it just to maintain that position since you have another?
Well, and that was kind of the point of the whole conversation, because a lot of people are in that place or feel like they can't speak their mind, especially in the workplace, because they know the people that are in position to hold their job or whatever else, they will retaliate. They might not say it directly. Everybody know they keep it on the cover, keep it on the wrap.
I've also,
But you gotta understand and know, okay, that's a thing.
Mhm.
You don't. If you're gonna rock the boat, you better have a life raft. That's the kind of the plan.
That's always been the thing that we've been saying. Like if you have to be able to accept the consequences of whatever you say.
Right, and that's the point.
As long as you can do that.
Right.
Now, if you can't do that, then yeah, no, I guess you're gonna be close with you.
they're hiring at Burger King.
But that's the world many of us live in. That's the mindset
The
many
mindset.
people have,
Mm-hmm.
that they don't feel comfortable speaking about certain issues and certain
Because they
groups.
fear of
Because of
losing
retaliation.
something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But see that also goes into the issue of placing people in positions of authority that probably shouldn't be
Oh,
there.
man.
Well, let's stay in the
And
topic.
it also
because
goes
you-
into not meeting people in the parking lot when you should have.
I got a friend. Hey, I got a friend named
grounds.
Buzz. Hey, matter of fact, I got a friend named Buzz. He race car driver out there in Dixonland.
What up?
He got a. He says all the time. He said those are people you meet in the parking lot that accidentally get hit.
I mean, look, my thing is,
Get accidentally get ran over by a truck.
my thing is, all people need to understand that all actions have consequences, and just because you are who you thought you were doesn't mean you're exempt from the consequences that I may bring forth upon you.
Okay, now let's look at this generationally. Older generation. Okay, I grew up back home. What generation is that? Our parents' generation would be what?
Boomers, they be baby
Boomers?
boomers. Yeah, they be
Okay.
baby boomers.
So they grew up where you keep your mouth shut. We were taught. Wherever you go, you come in and you shut up.
Yes,
Don't say nothing.
that
You don't
is
talk.
true. It's amazing how outspoken their children and those people's children are, given that was the thing.
Right.
But I, in some respects, I mean, I understand they were raised by people who were one generation removed from slavery.
So they
When they were
still
still-
had that mentality.
Yeah, there were still raiding parties. There were still posses. I mean, you think about Tulsa and a lot of these other massacres. They were either during my grandfather's childhood, which would have been the generation before the baby boomers. They were either during his childhood or during his children's childhood. And so, I mean, people love to believe this stuff was far off, but no, it was.
Yeah, you
It
two
was
generations
close.
away.
2 generations. Yeah, not even really.
Not even
Not even two.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like even here, because in this area they fully desegregated in like '72 when Chesapeake desegregated. But those people's parents are still alive in some cases. Because my parents, there are people who they know whose parents are still alive. They're in their 90s today. But the people that were screaming and cussing and spitting and everything else were the people who were their age, which means the people who didn't want to integrate, the people who, and whether you believe integration was good or bad, I mean, this is just what happened, are the people that are in their 60s today, 60s and 70s, that raised the next generation of haters.
Speaking of next generation, the generation now, the one that's coming up, I will say that they are more outspoken than my generation and probably the generation prior to that.
Yep.
Very outspoken. That's a good thing and also a bad thing. I'll tell you
Right.
what my opinion is. If you're going to be outspoken, at least be educated. Know what you're saying. Know what you're talking about. Know what you're doing, or have a general idea of what you're doing, because being outspoken and just not having direction, it can lead you astray. So
For sure.
for the younger generation, so just something you talked about, the history of the generations and moving fast forward into the generation now. Very outspoken, however, if miseducated or are not given direction, it can lead to catastrophic events.
You can. I mean, and I think that's a symptom of just the society, the global world that we live in, is because any knucklehead can say something as a fact that is, and a lot of times some of these people that are intentionally trying to misinform people, they give you part of a fact and then add their own on as though it's still factual in nature, but they
more free.
Yeah.
More. I think the newer generation feels more free to do just about anything they want to do,
Which is
and
not a
they
terrible
don't.
thing.
And, well, like I said, it's good and bad, but some do so without having an idea of what consequences are. Which you know what I'm saying? So
they don't consider the consequences.
they don't consider the consequences.
Right.
Yeah.
But like I said, on the other hand, you do have some that they have a direction, they're guided, they're outspoken, and they're making change in the world. So I just wanted to bring that point up when we talked about generational differences in regards of code switching. There's some out here that they play the role, like you say, they play the crowd and they mingle and things like that. And then you have the other ones that don't really fit in, and
The socialites.
and I think some of that too goes into how your parents taught you to be when you and if you decided to buy into that teaching or reject it entirely. Because one of the things I remember my parents saying often was that, and they used every action has an equal and opposite reaction to try to get me to think about what I did before I did it, because knowing that there was going to be some reaction, there was going to be some consequence or reward from whatever action I was going to take, and to say, okay, is this action going to be worth the potential consequence? And I think when we're talking about what people say, I think that in some respects, because they don't necessarily know all the information, that some people will say things not expecting to be dragged by society, and so they'll just say whatever they want to say. Then they got to come back and take a video down. And I'm like, no. Generally speaking, I mean, at 40, my mindset is generally well thought out and well researched anyway. What I based my thoughts on.
Got you. I got a question for either one of you. When it comes to, well, I guess not, because somebody changed up in here, man. I got crossed over on the notes here, man. I got Allen Iverson right now.
Yeah, I meant to add that.
Yeah. So no. I was going to say, as far as work ethic and work code in relation to code switching, I was going to ask you what were you trying to imply?
It was more or less like I said, the whole thing was code switching in the workplace. How you deal with people in the workplace. So for people with good and bad work ethics. Some people just lazy, man. Call it what it is. Some people lazy at work. They're there just to make money.
So would you say they don't code switch?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, do you think those kind of people are doing that just to stay at the workplace?
I mean, sure. I mean, the people do things. We can only speculate, though. I mean, right? People do things for all types of different reasons. So they may be doing it to stay in the workplace, as far as the code switching aspect.
Yeah, to get along with the boss, get along with the people that
they may be, but I think that they shouldn't have to.
Yeah, my day we call that brown name.
Essentially. But I don't think that you should have to do that. Now, I get that that's where our society, at least in the United States, is. But I don't necessarily think that should be where it is. And obviously, I'm talking about an ideal world that we'll probably never get to, because everything is perfect until you add people.
So I'm playing advocate real quick.
Okay.
Real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw in a wrench.
Come on with it.
So you telling me if I can be smarter and not work harder, then that you calling me lazy? If I find a way to get paid the same amount of money that you do,
boy,
and not work as hard,
boy,
what's wrong with that?
Boy,
So
I'm not saying nothing wrong with making money. Okay, but when it comes to work ethic,
I'm listening.
I can't stand lazy people, man. I'm sorry, man. I get hot. I get a little upset. Man, if you getting by and you being lazy, good on you.
But I'm not smart.
You're not smart. You're lazy. I'm not. You getting out of work, and that's fine. That's fine. And I've seen that. I've seen people get all buddy brown nose. You say brown nose. I call it cold.
I call it
whatever it is. I seen it. I seen them get close to the boss, and you sit back.
Favoritism.
And it is what it is. But that's how it works. And all I'm saying is, hey, be aware of that, because some people get upset and think, okay, you discriminate against me. No, that cat sat there and got close with this cat, so he didn't have to do that. And then got promoted.
I was going to say.
And then got the next job. And then did this, that, and the third. I almost see it as a cultural difference. And that's what I see a lot in the workplace.
Playing the game as far as being able to switch to code. Okay.
Yes. And I've seen it. And I've seen people move up. And I've seen people move down. So,
So the people who moved down were not code switching? And
Yeah,
the people
I've
who
seen
moved
it.
up
I've
were
seen
code
it, yes.
switching. Okay, gotcha.
I've seen it.
I think
I'm not saying it's
Did
right,
you
just like
recently
Alan
get
said.
promoted?
Who?
You.
No, I got a whole nother job. J-O-B. We'll get that button forward. It's a J-O-B. I got out of the, and that's why. That is exactly why. Because I was in a culture and at a workplace where if you want one of the boys, if you want one of the good old boys, if you didn't talk the way they talk, if you didn't vote the way they voted, if you weren't on the Trump train, buddy, guess what? You're gonna be there. You're not moving. It is what it is. And I knew that. I wasn't upset about it. I'm familiar with it. It's not a problem.
Got a question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Because
You had that deep breath.
That's exactly why I think people should own
That's why.
their own
Right.
businesses.
Right.
Because then at least, for good or bad, you get to just be the person that you want to be, that you would prefer to be, instead of having to, because I tell people all the time, look, if somebody doesn't like the stuff I'm selling, fine, you ain't gotta buy it.
Oh, there you go. I like that. There's nothing wrong with it.
You don't have to buy it. But I also don't have to pretend that the customer is always right. No, he's dead wrong. He's dead wrong. If you said you did such and such, I'm like, no, I see right here that your car got declined. So I don't know what to tell you. Go to another store.
Right. But some people don't have that luxury.
Some
people don't have that. Okay, and I say it this way. Some people have to do what they have to do until they can do what they want to do. So if you're in a position similar to that, just use wisdom. Be smart. I'm not saying you have to code switch. I'm not saying you have to fake the phone. I'm not saying you have to be a certain way.
Whoa, wait a minute. I'm taking it back to the beginning. Now, I'm going to use this against what you just said. Are you ready?
All right, go ahead.
In the beginning, you said you code switch because you feel as if that's something you need to do.
Yeah.
However, you left a job because of code switching.
Because I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be like everybody else, and I felt like I was getting paid what I was worth.
Okay, that's the like.
Well, now we don't have that conversation. We got to get paid what you work. That's not a code.
Yeah, no, that's a whole nother league. That's a whole nother league. But like I said, I knew the culture, and I think a lot of things are.
So in that particular situation, it was because you saw like the good old boys and the code switching. You didn't want to play the game there.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't feel like I said at the beginning, like I said, I don't talk the same way to everybody, and it's because I feel like everybody's not on the same page in different areas of life. I just don't feel like that.
That's accurate because everybody is.
Yeah, and I don't feel like I need to have certain conversations with certain people.
Oh.
That's me.
And when you say certain go ahead, sorry, sir. Go ahead.
I don't know if I should say this.
Go ahead.
But I don't care your age.
Huh?
I don't care your age. I don't care your gender. None of that matters to me. Like for me, I will talk the same way regardless. Now I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
But I just.
But I don't. Like I said, okay. What's a good example of that?
No matter your position, levels, bosses, and all that, you get the same. I'm respectful when I need to be respectful, but I feel like the code switching is like giving people respect that don't really deserve it or have earned it. So for me, I'm not going to say code switch just because of your position. Now I feel as if I have to talk a certain way just because of your position. No. Like if he was a pilot, if he was an officer, hey, we're gonna have a.
You're gonna have the same conversation with the pilot.
Conversation. I was sitting in the cockpit and we were just going back and forth talking. Hey, what's going on? Where you from? All this stuff. There wasn't a separation just because of the level of authority.
Mm-hmm. And I couldn't say the same thing. I'll be honest with you. The level of authority does dictate what I talk to you about.
Yo, we both
I'm not
all
talking.
that.
I don't feel like I need to talk to you. I'm sorry.
And see, but I think that's where we have to really define what code switching is, because not having a conversation with somebody is not the same as changing the way you
Right. Now I'm saying that too.
Yeah, because a lot of people change. They like
Some people just on
customer
this
service
whole
voice.
dialogue, the whole
Like the way
everything.
the way you see me talking now, other than me trying to make sure I enunciate because I know we're on microphone, you know, so I try to make sure I put more separation between my words. But other than that, the way you hear me talking now is the way that I talk to everybody anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to use words that would be common in what we call AAVE, or African American Vernacular English, which truthfully is a language on its own in the United States. It really is. Then I'm gonna use. That's what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use.
And if they don't get it, they don't get it.
If they don't get it, they don't get it. It's because my thing is. So what other cultural group ask other people, or I'll say, like, you don't see people from that are from Central and South America code switching to the degree that African Americans do. If you don't understand their cultural norms, you don't understand their cultural norms. And they say, okay, well then you're not us. and that's it. That's where you're not us. If you don't understand people that are actually, that actually keep their Irish traditions, if you don't understand those cultural norms and cultural traditions, you're just not us.
Okay.
But then we say, oh, well, since you're not us, we're going to be you.
Sorry, well, give me an example of one of those African American vernacular.
So,
an expression or a colloquialism that actually only blacks use. That's
so
give me one of them.
Give
the listeners some of them.
For the listeners, I'm on TikTok way too often, right?
Yeah.
But there's a stitch or a duet going around, because they use them both, where the person says essentially, make the face that all black people make when you said something that just don't make sense. And everybody already knows what the face is before you get there. Because everybody knows this. Everybody knows that's the face. It is a universal in the community. And it says everything and nothing at the same time. And everybody, if you're grown up in the community, everybody understands it without anybody having, like somebody like, oh yeah, I went over there and I picked up a brand new car. You're like, and everybody like, yeah, you owe everybody money, huh? But you got a new car. But everybody knows what it means without having to give somebody a definition.
Gotcha. So in correlation with, you said, what did you say,
African American Vernacular English.
Okay.
So, they used to call it Ebonics. That's what you said.
Oh, see, they got a term for it now.
Because it was actually codified as an actual language.
Yeah.
As an actual language,
So
separate and distinct from the American language.
Gotcha. So should you use code switching just to get along, Calvin?
Well, like I said, man, I have a problem I try to get along with everybody.
Yeah.
So I simply don't have the same conversation, man. Because I know a lot of my stances and views on a lot of things are it's not abrasive. That's not the word. You know what I'm saying? I've gotten better. Okay, I have grown. I have really grown. Because especially like my religious views, I know a lot of people don't agree with me.
I have seen you like
tone I toned it all the way down.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people don't do what they want to do.
That is true.
And I don't have the power to save or not save nobody. I don't have a hell of heaven to put nobody in. So all I can do is, just like Alan said, I can put information out there. I can educate you a little bit. But at the end of the day, that's on you. I ain't got nothing to do with that no more. I have nothing to do with that. That's on you. I'll tell you if you want to know. You can talk to me.
Yeah.
But outside of that, oh man. And I feel like that about a lot of things now.
But you know what? We're gonna
go ahead. No, because
it's not about code switching, but I think that's because when I look at, and this has nothing to do with code switching people, But when I look at that whole situation, what I see a lot of the time is people trying to force upon people a view when that wasn't what the person they claimed to follow did.
And
He said,
yeah, you're right.
he said, here you go. Oh, you don't want that? Okay then.
You're right.
And that was it.
We get on that. We'll write a whole nother show about that. But my thing is getting along with people. I deliberately don't say everything.
I get that.
Because I don't want to split your head with my opinion.
I'll take it a step further. So I hear what you're saying, but I'm taking it as, I perceive it as you not want to be vulnerable.
And I got a problem with that too. Yeah.
Okay. I'm
100%. Because I'd rather leave people wondering, okay, what in the world? How do I take him? Rather than.
But see, you're a chess player.
Yeah.
So you
because I dealt
your
with
conversations are like moving pieces on the board. I get it.
I do it all the time, man. Because I don't feel like people.
Don't
need to know everything about me. One.
First of all.
And especially if we on a work situation, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm not your friend.
You're not gonna talk to me like that.
and people take and listen.
I'm listening.
I found out, dude.
Who do you think?
But y'all listen. I'm gonna show you why. I'm gonna show you why. Okay, y'all ready? Here you go. Y'all Republicans are a trip, a pure trip, because if nobody agrees with your opinion, they're wrong and they're trying to tear down the country. Y'all idiots.
So,
because I found that I see it all the time, and it seems like if you're not Republican, you against God. You're not a Christian. You going and this, amen. Now amen. It's as crazy as it sounds.
No. It certainly isn't a uniquely.
You un-American. You communism, and you're trying to tear down the. Hey man, hold on. Everybody don't have to agree with you. I don't see it your way 100%. I see some things, but I don't see. And again, I'm not Republican. I don't claim Democrat. I think we all being manipulated. Perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
But
that is your favorite word.
because I'm sorry, man. It is. It is. Yeah. I think we just. They're manipulating the masses. So
it's been going on for so long.
It is what it is. So
it's
anyway,
living on this planet. It's constant manipulation.
You're right.
You gotta separate the wheat from the chaff.
So I'm like, okay, all right. As far as getting along with people, no, I'm not gonna stand my ground. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave people in their boxes. I'm gonna leave people alone. I'm gonna try to get along. Yeah. And when you ask me, I'll tell you. But if you don't ask me, I'm not gonna give it to you just willy nilly, and I'm not gonna.
I got you.
I'm gonna try to get along with people, man.
Do you get along with horrible bosses?
I do. I got better. I have gotten better.
You have to express.
Because I used to challenge horrible bosses, especially bad leadership. I got a thing for terrible leadership, man. So before I would say things, being young, I would say it. I would get. Hey, this ain't right. So you're not dealing with these people right. Okay. I used to be like that.
No, I'm saying so. At one point, you didn't code switch.
Right. At all. Like take it as a. If you have this, yes, I would not. I would get. What's a good word for it? Rebellious. That's not good. But that's what I was young.
Okay.
So. I don't know. I mean, my thing is, I do think that people need to be challenged if they are not doing what they're supposed to do.
And I've seen people get run over because of that.
No, and I'm not saying that you won't. However, if you are fighting for what you believe is right, and you're fighting for action and what you believe is right, then the question is always, what's more important? to you? And everybody has to answer that question individually. Is it more important? Is it more important to be paid or more important to have your conscience clear? Which one? And you got to make these decisions every single day.
Do what you can afford to do.
Yep.
That's a good one. Do what you can afford to do.
And you got to decide. I mean, I have been, and this has been, especially since I started working for, because for those that don't know, I work for our local municipality somewhere around here in Hampton Roads, just so people don't be trying to call people like, oh, these dudes got a podcast. Yeah. Somewhere around here, I work for somebody. And but I've been fortunate.
You have a job.
In that I do. In addition to a few businesses, but I do have a job. Crazily enough, I actually like what I do. But I also don't have to work with the general public.
There you go.
So,
you're
but
narrowing it down right now. Just keep moving.
there are a whole lot of people that don't work with the general public. Look, I can work for Kroger and not work in the general public.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't have to be in a customer service position because I realize that customer service is exactly what I didn't like because you always had to be fake phony and you always had to lay down and have your spine stepped on in order to keep your job.
Hi, welcome to Walmart.
Hi, welcome to.
All right. Go ahead.
Can I get your email, please?
But I think that you should do exactly. You should do what you can afford to do, and I get that that's going to be different for everybody, right? Because everybody's at a different place in their life, they're at a different place in their beliefs, they're at a different place in their ability to be gainfully employed or to own a business. I mean, these days you can own a business by simply just raising your hand. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to have a sole proprietorship. Now, if you want to, legalize it or whatever, then you got to spend like $150. But it doesn't take a lot to start a business. Usually, all it takes really is an idea. And but I will say that, as long as your conscience is okay, say what you gotta say. Yeah. The issue I think comes in is I don't know that code switching is withholding. I don't think that's the same. Code switching is saying it, to me at least, saying what you would normally say this way in another way. I don't think that saying, okay, I won't say this at this moment in time. Mm-hmm. I'll put this person aside and say it over here because I know that this person needs to have their ego stroked. Mm-hmm. Not, so I think that those are, because my thing is I want to have the maximum effect. Whatever way I can have the maximum effect, that's what I would like to do. And so if that means I know I can't challenge this person in front of everybody because I know what that's going to like. So for example, and some people may see this as code switching. I don't, but I used to have a supervisor that was a double supervisor. So they were a supervisor above my supervisor. That was an extra micromanager.
Was he extra with the micromanagement?
They could have been.
He was doing the other person's job. He should have left it. They delegated.
So, because I knew that, and in my case, I knew it coming in the door. I was an oversharer of information, like extreme overshare, to the point where they just didn't even ask me questions. Like they didn't even come ask me questions. Every other person that worked for them, they would come in there and really like, well, what's going on? How do you know all this other stuff? They never even came and saw me because I tell you stuff you didn't even want to know. Like you didn't, but it worked. But it worked, and it worked for you to leave me alone, and let me do what I'm supposed to be doing. But that's, I think people don't. I try to figure out a way to make the situation best for me working in it, and then I try to move the entire ship in that direction by my sheer force of will. Now I don't do it. It's not to the detriment of anybody at all, because they didn't have a problem with the fact that I overshared. But it meant you didn't come bother me for any reason unless the building was falling apart. Like you just didn't, because you felt like, oh, I know what's going on. Yeah, you know what I told you. But because everybody else in the past, they had always butted heads with the person because they were just like, well, leave me alone, let me do my job. And I was like, I found that out later. Everybody said, oh, they were like, leave me alone, let me do my job type of thing. And I was more of a, here is the buffet, so that you can leave me alone. Let me do
So
my
much
job.
information, I can't go and
All that
digest
stuff.
it.
But most people wouldn't even willing to do that. But for me, it made my time, because I always believe that no matter where I'm employed, I haven't come to stay. I have come to leave.
Right.
The only question is how long will I be there?
Right.
Got it.
Because I'm always trying to move forward.
So in closing, so we gotta
Grand
wrap
opening,
this.
grand
We
closing.
gotta wrap this thing up. I will say that in regards to code switching, I ain't got nothing. because you will get the same energy. I would like to think that there has been growth to where I am more selective in what I do share, just because. No, I can't even say that. No, like you'll get the same energy.
Yeah.
But for me, it's more of an emotional roller coaster. It depends on where I'm at emotionally, psychologically. That's what type of energy you will get. Thankfully, I got help to where I'm more stable in my conversation now, and I feel as if I don't have to code switch, because I would at some points not say certain things because I was in my head. However, now that I have gotten help with the therapist and medication and other things, whatever I need to do, I've been doing, and my conversation has been level. So you will get Alfonso across even kill across the board.
Yeah.
Now, if you like that or didn't like that, that's on you. However, you're going to get my energy. So that's how I feel about that in closing.
Okay. And I was saying, whether you code switch, whether you don't, be yourself, be true to yourself. Whatever you're comfortable with, be okay with that. Also, love you guys. Appreciate you guys.
For sure.
Hey, thank you for
Thank
listening.
y'all. Appreciate y'all for
Don't
listening.
forget to like, share, subscribe as usual.
As usual.
Do what you can afford.
Hey, shout out to Paul, man. He
know what?
always say that at work, man. Do what you can afford to do.
If you're going to rock the boat, you better have a life raft.
Or know how to swim. But that's why we asked the question we asked last week. We said, if who would you be, what would you do if money as an issue was out of the way? If it didn't matter, if you were going to get paid regardless.
I know some folks that go to work just to fuss people out for no reason, then quit.
They might. I mean, but apparently they got a lot of pent up
Pent
stuff
up
on their
frustration.
chest. All right, we'll see y'all next week, man.
Yep.
We gotta work. Father. 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 You gotta work.
No.